It wouldn't be an Ingham Arctic adventure without an emergency, their annual emergency in the Arctic. In the night, in actual fact. I wonder what it possibly could be. But more to the point, what in God's name is that thing in the corner there that looks like something from Star Wars? What is it? Is that you, Chris? Is that you? Are you modelling that? My word. That's lovely, isn't it? Anyway, we're going to find out what this emergency is, because I've heard, a little birdie's told me, that there are emergency situations all over the Ingham camp at the moment, monetary, channel-wise, and now whatever this is. Let's go and have a look, shall we? I bet it's something unbelievable.
Good morning, iFram, all the way from a sunny Copenhagen.
Not just a sunny, but a tropical Copenhagen. It's 21 degrees in here right now. I had no heaters on today.
And yet, Chris, you look like you're dressed for the Arctic there in your little your beanie, which we're used to by now, but your little neck warmer thing, it's keeping you all cosy and toasty, isn't it?
It's 18 outside.
That's crazy, man. That
is actually insane. Yeah. Although we have been sat in the sunlight, so that obviously the sunlight's on the thermometer. Might not feel like that.
Now, Sarah, don't feel left out. I've also got a message regarding your clothing too. The lovely Harry in your comments says, lovely labia sweater, Sarah. So don't feel left out ever. People have got your backs. They love everything that you wear. Isn't that right? Even your labia sweater.
Doesn't feel like that when you get outside. I've still got my, it doesn't feel, it still feels a bit wintry, but certainly in here.
No, this is cringe. We can't start the vlog talking about the weather.
No, I think what it is that we're obviously acclimatized to the Arctic, so that anything above 0 feels tropical right now. I think that's where we're at, pretty much.
Anyway, we're in Copenhagen. We've had a gorgeous few days driving all the way down the beautiful Sweden. It actually blows my mind how big Sweden is.
Oh, it's massive.
Like it's so big.
It's not just massive, but it is 100% definitely in need of a summer road trip, because it's so freaking beautiful. It is so beautiful everywhere. There's so much water, so much trees, and it's just mad.
It's been a gorgeous drive, but we're fully out of the snow now. We're fully out of the Arctic temperatures, and we're fully back into feeling like it's spring.
Yeah, it definitely looks like spring out the window right now. I'll show you in a minute. But today, basically, we're in Denmark right now. We're in Copenhagen, and we're going to be making our way today about 7 hours into Germany today.
Yeah.
So, because we are meeting up with my uncle tomorrow.
And you didn't fancy, whilst you were there in Copenhagen, actually going to visit Copenhagen, right? Copenhagen is on one of my bucket lists. I've only got one bucket list. Copenhagen is on my bucket list, and I'd love to go there, personally. It's probably one of the places I'd like to go. I don't want to go to the Arctic, so no, I'm not jealous of you there. I'm jealous of the fact that you're actually in Copenhagen, but you're not actually going to be doing anything in Copenhagen. You're not going to visit the places, the tourist sites, the educational landmarks, all the museums that they have there. It sounds a lovely place, very educational for your kids, and yet you decide that nah, we've done too much on this trip already. We're just gonna head straight down and we're on our way home. Not before we stop off at Uncle, what's he called again? Uncle.
Who lives in Germany. We're spending the day with him, which is going to be amazing. So excited to do that, and we've got some supplies from England that we're giving him too.
He's like, can you please bring me salad cream, like proper Heinz salad cream, tea bags, PG tips.
So we've got him a stash, and we're going to go see him tomorrow and hook him up. But today we're basically doing a mad driving day, and so we thought we might tell you today about something that happened on this trip that we've never spoken about, because I don't know what we said. We were going to speak about it, but I think
there's a reason we didn't.
Every day it was a day we weren't filming, so we didn't film it, obviously, and it was a bit hairy.
No, we
so.
didn't film it because it was like through the night.
Yeah, it was in the night, but it was a bit hairy. So we didn't talk about it, that's what I mean, the next day, because we weren't filming the next day. But we're like, I think a couple of times we were like, oh, we should tell that story about what happened last night, but we just never did. So we thought, today we're going to tell you the worst thing that happened on this trip.
The worst thing that happened on the trip? Well, is it worse than your hairdo, Chris? Worse than that look that you have right now? Worse than Sarah's vagina jumper? What? It's not worse than Sarah's slugs, is it? Oh, it must be bad. It must be bad. Oh my God.
And funnily enough, it's happened to us one other time before.
If they proceed to tell me that they got robbed at gunpoint again in the middle of the night, I'm just gonna jump off the edge of the earth right now, you know.
When we're in this van.
Also in this van.
Not in the truck. No.
Very, very weird.
It's the curse of this van.
So strap yourselves in, because this is the night we almost died in this van.
So you almost died, and you didn't think at any point, any given opportunity, that you could possibly, maybe, just could be, go home. Because you almost died, and that would have been enough to scare the living shit out of me, especially with my kids being in the van. I would have thought, right, okay, enough is enough, let's go home.
So picture this. We're alone in the middle of a Finnish frozen forest. Literally in the middle of the forest, in a pull-in, in the trees. It was extremely cold this night. It was minus 20, which minus 20 was the coldest we got on this whole trip, and this was one of the nights we had minus 20. It was super cold, and we all fell asleep as normal. Everything was fine, no issues.
Cozy and toasty in the van, a nice 22 degrees, which actually is too hot for me. I've been so hot in this van this trip. I was thinking about this morning when I put my pyjamas into the laundry baskets. I've not worn a single pair of pyjamas this trip.
No.
Just literally just wear a vest.
Slept in underwear the whole trip.
Oh really? Go on then, Sarah. Tell us more. Tell us more about this underwear sleep. I just need to picture it, you know. I need it in my mind's eye. One second. Let me think. Was it black underwear or white? It wasn't hot pink, was it? Oh wow. Okay, I'm getting a bit hot under the collar here, you know.
I've literally just worn a vest for bed because it is so hot in this van. It drives me mad.
It's boss.
Anyway,
so we were woken up abruptly at 6 o'clock with the carbon monoxide alarm going off.
That's good. At least you've got one installed, isn't it? You know, everybody needs one of those, which is good that you have one. And this is the second time this has happened. Yes, I remember the first time it happened. It was something and nothing at that point. Jace spilled some hand sanitizer down it or something like that. It was something along those lines that actually happened at that point. Right, we're on the same page now.
The carbon monoxide alarm's got two stages. One stage when it's just detected a bit of carbon monoxide in the air, and it's like, okay, wake up, take notice, ventilate the area, check what's going on. And that's what was going off. So I cancelled the alarm, which shut up, and we were both like...
Just to point out, you press the button to cancel the alarm, and if it's unsafe levels, you can't cancel it.
No,
That's how this works.
Yeah, so
if the levels are unsafe, even when you press the cancel button, it won't stop.
No.
That's when you know, like, it's not
Ow.
just a case of opening the doors, it's a case of leaving. Get out the room, get out the vehicle. But when we pressed it, it stopped, which made us realise that it wasn't like, it was very minor, so we opened all the doors.
I just want to point out here, because some people might have switched off and listening to their babbling on and might not have picked up on that, but what they have said there is that the alarm, if you press cancel on the alarm and the alarm switches itself off, that means that the CO2 levels are not too bad. They're not life-threatening. They're not dangerous, right? And if the alarm carries on, that's when you like evacuate, sort of thing, right? They're saying that once they press cancel, the alarm stopped. Therefore, they knew that it wasn't a serious situation. Although Chris has, in fact, said that they nearly died and it was life-threatening. But, you know, where'd you go with that?
Yeah, anyway, basically, it was the diesel heater had a malfunction. It wasn't on. It obviously not been on for a while because it got down to about 12 degrees in here. So it was cold in here. It was minus 20 outside. It was still dark. And the carbon monoxide alarm was going off.
And the diesel heater was showing an error code.
Yeah, error code, yeah. So, and I'd only been asleep for about 2 hours at this point because I was obviously editing till about 4. So I was super dazed and just absolutely what the heck is going on. So obviously my immediate thoughts are, okay, there's only 2 things in this van that could possibly cause a carbon monoxide alarm. And that's the hob with the gas or the diesel heater. If for some reason the exhaust fumes have come in the van from some weird chain of events. So it's going to be those things. The fridge isn't gas powered, it's just 12 volts powered, so nothing else in the van can cause any type of carbon monoxide issue. It's just those 2 things. So obviously my thoughts were straight to them. Obviously my thought was, first of all, ventilate. We opened the door, which obviously let more cold in, which sucked, but we had to ventilate the place just in case because we didn't know what we were breathing. We knew that the levels were safe because it wasn't going off again, but still.
None of the 3 little ones woke up.
No, not through this whole time.
The whole time they didn't wake up. So even though it was cold, they weren't cold enough to be like suffering, waking up.
Yeah, but no one would be cold in them bed sheets anyway. They're like...
Not gonna lie, if I had 3 very young children who would not wake up despite it being minus 20 outside, freezing temperatures, and the carbon monoxide alarm going off, those 2 things combined might make me worry a little bit more than just saying, oh yeah, just let's ventilate a little bit, you know. But basically, just because they were fast asleep, I'd have woken them up just to make sure, right? I'm not gonna make sure that they're fine. The alarm's going off, even though the alarm suggests that it's safe. Just make sure that they are awake and they are alive, right? That's what I would do personally, anyway.
Yeah.
Thermal monster bed sheets.
We do have thermal monster bed duvets, sorry. Big like thermal duvets. They're like 15 tog. And then we do also have teddy bedding on the top. They're like massive thick clouds, and when you snuggle, I've not used them at all this trip, and neither has Aurora really, because I got her thick sleep suits to wear, like tog ones, only like 2 tog or something like that, but that along with the thing is too much. She gets too hot. So
long story short, no one was cold.
Yeah.
But it was just freezing in here for me and Sarah, who were working. The problem, it was freezing.
Yeah.
Anyway, closed the door and got straight to working out what was going on. And we'd basically been like dumped on with snow whilst we were asleep. And so the diesel heater exhaust had basically got completely blocked with snow outside.
So I'm sat here wondering why I'm sat here listening to this story, right? I've then literally got nothing else to vlog, because what I'm being told is that it was a life-threatening emergency whilst also not being life-threatening because there was no threat to life and everybody was fine. So basically what you're telling us about, what you're talking to us about, isn't about a carbon monoxide emergency, right? It's about an alarm which was faulty or something else that was faulty within the van. So like some technical issue that's going, that why does this warrant an entire vlog to tell us about an alarm which went off that shouldn't have? My smoke alarm goes off all the time, right? At one point, right, I had a smoke alarm which would not switch the fuck off. It was going on for weeks. Beep, beep, beep. It was going through my head, into my skull, and out the other side. I could not switch it off. I tried battering it and it would not switch off. I got on a chair even. I tried to switch it just wasn't working. I even switched it off at the mains. It just carried on going. Oh my god, have you ever tried turning a smoke alarm off when it doesn't want to go off? It just it was weeks. Anyway, yeah, my point is, I didn't make a vlog about it though, did I? I didn't. I could. Anybody want to know about my smoke alarm? I will do a separate vlog on that. Let me know in the comments below. Would you like to hear about my smoke alarm issues?
I still don't know the ins and outs of how, but basically the diesel heater exhaust had like choked itself, so it's not burning efficiently, the fuel inside of it, and it was producing this like white smoke out of the exhaust because it was choking itself basically, and that kind of got trapped underneath the van from the snow and coming, you know, obviously there's a couple of vents in the bottom of the van because the diesel heater exhaust is pumped out the side of the van, not underneath of it, it's outside of the side of the van. But because of the snow had kind of like blocked the exhaust and made the fumes, the dodgy fumes that were causing because it wasn't burning efficiently to get trapped underneath the van. So obviously there's a couple of vents in the van on the floor to stop it from going mouldy, and also when we used to have a gas tank in the cupboard underneath the sink, it's got a vent there to let out any dodgy gas that might ever escape. It's just a safety thing you're supposed to put into vans. So I'm presuming that some of the dodgy gases, because of this white smoke that was pumping out the diesel heater because it wasn't burning efficiently because of the snow that had got blocked in it,
coming through the vents,
was coming up through the vents and causing some sort of a carbon monoxide issue.
Yeah.
So it was a bit crazy, but obviously I quickly unburied the snow.
So just to let you know, Chris, right? Because I know you like feedback about your vlogs and everything, and you think that people get bored of certain types of vlogs. People don't like your travel vlogs. They prefer your stay-at-home B&M haul vlogs. So, Chris, you are so worried about how your vlogs are coming across and how low your views are. Well, I am here to tell you that this story alone made me want to gouge my eyes out and feed them to my ears. My goodness gracious me, this was boring. The whole thing was boring. I know. Thank you for the people who are actually watching my version of it, because I did have thoughts about whether or not to actually do this. But, you know, I thought maybe some people might be interested in what these two had to say. So, you know, warning signs and all that, you know, awareness about carbon monoxide and that.
And then when that happens, you just need to run like your diesel heater at like full power for like 20 minutes to like blast out the exhaust, get all the crud out of it. Because
that's the other thing as well, because this fan's like so ventilated, so like insulated and keeps the heating so much. We'd only been running the diesel heater on like the slowest setting, and we'd been doing that for weeks. We weren't really putting it on high because it wasn't needed. No. But we didn't realise, did we, that we probably should.
Basically, like if we'd have had it on a higher setting, it would have just blasted the snow itself anyway. Because it was on a lower setting, it allowed some snow like to get clogged around it basically and cause this issue. And it was easy to fix. And then we blasted the diesel heater out. Thank goodness it all was working fine. And then within an hour or so, it was back up to a nice temperature in here, and we went back to sleep.
And obviously we could just turn on the engine and let the heat from the heaters on the actual van were on whilst Chris was doing this. So even though it was cold when we first woke up, we soon warmed it up by just putting the engine on.
Yeah, but we've also got like backup electric heaters and all sorts of stuff. So because whenever we're on a campsite, we're plugged into mains.
We didn't need them, did we?
And we have so that we can give the diesel heater a break. We have like electric heaters to use when we're plugged into mains on campsites.
I come to the conclusion that the only type of people that are capable of deciphering what the story is all about and actually being able to jumble up all the words into sentences in a weird sort of way are the type of people who watch their vlogs on a daily basis. I think the logical people, they think they're normal type of people, they get kind of sidetracked. But the ones who focus like solely on the Inghams and hang off every word that they say, those are the type of people that are able to decipher Ingham speak, right? And fortunately, I've managed to find such a person in the comments. This person says, Sarah, I've noticed you doing that swallowing thing when you get morning sickness. Are you okay? And Leanne replied, Sarah not pregnant. Yeah, Sarah is not pregnant. Based on what, I'm not quite sure, but apparently she knows. Leanne is in on the secret. She is a woman who knows, right? So yeah, that's just one of many IFAM who are capable of deciphering the gibberish which comes out of Sarah's mouth every single day and doesn't really care about anything else except for gibberish.
And we've used them loads of times this trip, and that was fine. But you know, if worse come to worse, if the diesel heater had like totally failed and was like pumping out something dodgy, which obviously was one of my first thoughts. I've got two spare diesel heaters in the roof. I bought two specifically, and they're in this roof box on this side, so that if we need any parts, fuel pumps, anything, we've got loads of spares.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing you cannot have fail up there. If you have a failure of your heating system, you're done. Your trip's over. I don't know how easy it is to get a diesel heater up there, but I imagine it's not very easy. So I was like, no, we're not risking anything like that. We're definitely taking a couple of spares just in case. And luckily, between the caravan and this van, we had no issues whatsoever apart from this one night. And the diesel heater that's in here was the one that we took on the very first Arctic trip in here. And so she's been a boss now for a few years, and she's worked perfect. But
it does just go to show, like, as safe as these things are, when you're in extreme temperatures like we've been in, problems that you don't necessarily think about, like we would never think, oh, we should probably run the heater on high just in case there's a snowstorm and snow gets stuck in the...
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily think about those things. So it's so important that you have carbon monoxide alarms and things like that, because even though this was such a minor issue, I mean, it was so minor, we went outside, realised what the problem was, went online and it told us what we had to do, put the heater on full, it cleared out the thing, and that was it, done. It was all done within 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's also...
But if you didn't have the carbon monoxide and you didn't know about that...
You know, then it could have turned into something worse.
Like, it was such a simple thing, but it could have been a massive tragedy.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, Sarah. Your vlogs were not built on coulda. Am I right? You know, where's this tragedy that we've been waiting for all this time? Life-threatening, I was told. Very disappointed. Very, very disappointed, I have to say. Disclaimer, I don't want them to have a tragedy. Just putting that out there, right? But there was some chatter in the comments which I feel needs addressing. Well, Chris did address it, but... So this person said, the 3 little ones should still have been checked over. And before you all jump down my throat, I'm a nurse. So listen to Nurse Michelle. Come on, guys. Michelle says that you should get the kids checked over. I probably would have done too, but anyway. Elizabeth replied, I'm sure they probably will. They are not stupid. Well, maybe not on the same level as yourself, right? Because this happened like weeks ago or something. I would have hoped they would have done so by now. Not they will. They should. Not will, but should. Leanne replied, it was false alarm. Did you watch it? It happened in 2023 too. That was the same. Then Chris replied in his own inimitable way. To be clear, if you listen to the video, there was no carbon monoxide poisoning. It was a minor alert. It was spotted and fixed. No poisoning, no issue. Oh, he gets a bit triggered, doesn't he? Oh, Christopher, doesn't he? Then he goes on to say, let's not be extra drama. Let's not bring extra drama where there is no need. We know all about carbon monoxide poisoning deeply. We do not need schooling on it or comments like this. But you're the one that brought attention to it and added the drama where there literally was none. You are right, there was no drama, and yet you caused it by not only clickbaiting it as life-threatening emergency, but you also said you nearly died at the beginning of this video. You nearly died, right? Somebody else replied, it's to make people who are planning on travelling aware of these things. And this one says, so then why would you title the video an emergency and say that you almost died? Obviously this person's going to suggest to have them looked over. And Chris replied again, because why not? It's called Basic Marketing 101. It could have been a disaster, and it was an emergency. Why market? We nearly killed our kids, and it's just marketing. Why would you want that out there into the world? Had we have ignored the problem, it would have developed into something deadly, which means it was an emergency. But no, it was anything serious. Is that difficult to... Oh, fuck knows. Jesus Christ, I've lost the plot here. Then Anna replied, so your tears were basic marketing 101 or pure manipulation towards your viewers. Have you ever heard of the boy that cried wolf? You wonder why nobody watches you anymore? Clown. It's a good point. Everything Chris does is basic marketing 101 or clever marketing or whatever, and yet he put out there that little cryy speech the other day, which, you know, one might suggest could actually be interpreted as manipulation or just marketing in the same vein that he's always banging on about, isn't it? So do we believe you, Chris, that you are so upset and hate, you know, what's going on your channel right now, and you're threatening to close your channel down and everything else, right? Is that maybe just to try and get the viewers back on side and get them to feel sorry for you so they'll watch your videos and shit like that?
If you don't prepare and make sure your carbon monoxide things are working, exactly the same as in 2023.
2023. I should just say as well that on this night, it wasn't like just a regular, like we've been to sleep loads of times when the snow's falling and we've had no issues, and we wouldn't have had any issues either. The reason why we had an issue this night was because of the wind basically and the ice. The wind blew like a weird snowdrift on one side of the van, which caused this kind of like blockage of the exhaust area, which you know, it was just a weird set of circumstances that caused this that night. Because also normally, because the diesel heater exhaust is so hot, even snow hitting it is going to melt. It's going to melt straight away. But this, because of the wind and stuff, it allowed enough to get blown up into it to cause this inefficient burning issue, which then caused the carbon monoxide issue inside here. Anyway, 2023. We just left that finished hotel, the Apuka Lodge.
This one wasn't as bad because the kids stayed asleep. I mean, me and Chris had an early rise, but the kids stayed asleep and they weren't affected at all. Like, they didn't even know it had happened. They didn't know, because it took us 10 minutes to fix the problem. But in 2023, we didn't know what the problem was. Yeah. So it was harder. So
2023, so this time, Sarah was talking about no one knew about it. That it even happened until we told them the next day, like a story. But in 2023, we start the video again because this is getting long. Right, in 2023, we woke up on our the first day we got back in the van after staying in the hotel in Finland. When the trip was over and we were on the way home, and we were all dying of this awful flu that we had at the time as well. Obviously we were all in this van, everyone, and we got woken up at 2:30 something in the morning. I went editing that night, and so I'd been to bed like normal with everyone else, to the carbon monoxide alarm going off. And this had never happened before in any vehicle, and I had like literally no experience of what to look for. And I was just straight up out of bed, like panicked, like what's going on?
But this was worse as well because it was literally -30.
Oh yeah, that's the thing as well. Yeah, it was literally -30 that night. It was the coldest night we had on that trip, and it was -30. And we weren't in we weren't in the wild. We were in a car park of like just a park and ride car park.
It was like an industrial site.
Yeah. It was just a park for night spot that we'd found, and so the diesel heater at that time, I looked over, the diesel heater had malfunctioned, and there was some sort of an error code on it. Didn't know what the error code meant, because there's loads of different error codes and you have to look them up online to find out what they are.
Actually stood there having a wee when there's literally a service station toilet right there.
No. Man, people are dusty, man. There's literally a man out of our windscreen in front of the van just taking a piss.
Why? There's literally a toilet there.
Manky, man. Anyway, right, so so the diesel heater had gone off. It was cold in here. I can't remember what temperature it was, but it was cold. And I was like, why is the carbon monoxide alarm going off? And we were just okay, let's ventilate, let's open the doors. It was freaking freezing.
We panicked a bit, didn't we? Because it was the first time we were like, oh my gosh, have you got a headache? What's going on?
Yeah, it was.
Wake the kids up.
It also wasn't the severe alarm either. It was just the first alarm type of thing. And we didn't know what happened basically. So we didn't want to turn the diesel heater back on, because I knew that it must be something to do with the diesel heater, but I didn't know what. And I wasn't experienced enough to kind of to know or what to problem solve on the spot. And I just wanted to solve the issue of the cold basically in here, and try and get everyone back to sleep and make sure that the air was good in here and we didn't have any issues with carbon monoxide. So, and the only thing that it could have been again was either the diesel heater or this hob. So the old hob that we had in here, sorry. So we just basically ended up turning the van on, basically turn the engine on. But
because it was so cold outside and the engine was cold, there's no heat coming in anyway. There was ice all over the window, so what does smart man here do? He boils the kettle and puts not quite boiling water, but hot water in -30 on the window. What did it do? Instantly solidified. It was about that thick of ice on the front window.
It literally froze like instantly. It was just ridiculous.
And we could not get the ice off, so we couldn't drive anywhere.
No de-icing fluid worked, nothing worked, and the windows wouldn't even start to like warm up and clear themselves because the engine wouldn't warm up because it was just so cold.
So this was like 2 AM. We're in, like I said before, an industrial park. There was no one around because, you know, we probably wouldn't have been able to do this if we were anywhere else. But Chris literally had to drive in circles around this car park with his head out of the window, like his side window, so he could see where he was going, because the window was completely iced. And we had to warm up the van. We had to drive to warm up the van. So we were having to drive around this like car park space, round and round and round and round, with your head out the window so you could see where you were going.
We were absolutely mad. And then eventually like a square of windscreen cleared so I could see perfectly, and then I could get my ice scraper in it, and it just enough to knock some more out, and then it cleared pretty quickly, and then we
just drove to an Airbnb, didn't we?
Yeah, we literally drove for like a couple of hours basically. This was bearing in mind in the middle of the night. The sun had started to come up by the time we'd stopped, and we just found an Airbnb and checked straight into it. Luckily the guy was...
got Chinese?
Yeah, it's really good, that, yeah. We'll have filmed in the Airbnb, I'm sure. Maybe we didn't. Did we not?
No, because I can remember taking a couple of pictures thinking... I don't know why, but I remember thinking, when we explain this story, when we tell everyone's going to say we're lying, so I'm taking pictures for proof. That's genuinely what I did.
Yeah, so we checked into this Airbnb, and then that night I just basically took the diesel heater to bits, working on it step by step and finding out what was wrong with it. And I think basically on that year I had like a little piece of fuel line that just went outside for like a few centimetres and then back into the diesel heater. And I think because it was so cold that night that the fuel gelled and it caused some sort of a malfunction in the diesel heater. We hit like a rock in the road near a pothole, and it had banged the bottom of the van, and the diesel heater exhaust end was had like bent. It definitely bent the exhaust. So because it's the flimsy of these exhaust things, so whatever it had done, it had bent it up into the underside of the van rather than sticking out of the bottom.
So the same thing, the fumes were coming up.
So I think what happened that night is that because the diesel heater had error coded and it wasn't working, but I think the error code had come from like gelled fuel, maybe because it was so cold, and so it stopped working. But the carbon monoxide had come from the fact that the exhaust had been hit and
turned inside.
So the fumes were kind of like the same thing basically. That maybe they were gathering under the vehicle rather than exiting at the side of it, and they came in somewhere and caused the alarm to go off.
So both issues were really simple to fix, literally 2-minute job.
Yeah, and I ran there.
But deadly if you don't have alarms.
They
could potentially have been.
It could have been bad if we didn't have carbon monoxide alarms and etc. etc. So basically, it's super important to have them set up and working.
Yeah.
But that night in the Airbnb on the first trip, I just ran the diesel heater in here all night, and I was like, okay, when I come out in the morning, if it's still running and the alarm's not going off, we're good.
Yeah.
And it was fine. So next day we're back in the van.
Yeah, because I remember, because it was the first time that had happened, I remember feeling really nervous because we needed to use the heater because it was so cold. But I remember thinking, yeah, but what if?
Yeah.
So I was like, leave it running all night.
Yeah, basically.
And then if the alarm doesn't go off again, then it's obviously we've fixed the problem.
Yeah. So basically now, when we go back home, we don't need that vent in the floor anymore, so I'm just gonna seal it fully up. That's the only place that any diesel heater fume could have come in from, so I'm presuming it's coming from there. I don't know, but you never know. You don't really know really, but I'm gonna seal that all up because we don't need that anyway now. But obviously there's not been any other issues or anything like that, and you know, everything was fine.
Yeah.
But that's why you have these alarms, to make sure that things like that are fine.
And we know that a few of you guys have been saying, oh, what happened? So that's why we just thought we'd just do a quick sit down story time, because boom, we're driving today. It's going to be a long driving day, and yeah, we're going to get on the road. I've had a shower in the girls' caravan this morning. I don't usually shower in their caravan just because it's easy to use our own, but we didn't have enough water in the van this morning, so I had to go and steal their shower.
Right, so the only thing that is an issue obviously when you're coming on these mad trips into the Arctic is you have these mad drives home, and they're all cool to film on the way up because it's the start of the road trip and everyone's excited, and so really it's kind of like, it's not too hard filming these drives on the way up, but on the way down it's just a nightmare.
And people keep saying like, oh, please don't just be back at home, and we're not going to do that. We won't just be back at home, but we also can't film like daily vlogs every single day, because when people say like, oh, we don't mind what you film, but there's nothing to, but there's genuinely nothing to.
We'll literally just sit in.
We are sat in the van. We stop,
the
let the children out, stretch the legs, use the toilet, get back in the van, drive, and we do that all day long. Well, I say that we do that for like 2 days. Yesterday, I'm going to be doing it today.
It's only yesterday.
It's not like days and days and days we're doing that. It's like 2 days.
The only days we've not filmed are yesterday and today.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, I think we'll be filming tomorrow. With my
uncle. We're going
to
see your Uncle Paul.
Yeah, we'll film. We'll film whatever we go up to, even if it's a short vlog. And then we're back on the ferry, back to Blighty, back to the UK, back to the brick house.
Back to
Let's
Vietnam.
Go. So obviously we'll be filming obviously normal like vlogs back on the ferry, and then arriving back home at the brick house, which now everyone is very excited to do. Because when you get to this point,
do you not feel like an idiot with that on your
No, I quite like it actually. When you get to this point, you just want to be back home. You can't bother driving anymore, and I'm totally done with driving. But so it's going to be fun in the next couple of days when we get back to the brick house. Hopefully the brick house will love us back and welcome us back with arms open and not want our friends to stay there full time.
Do you know what's opening me? Do you know what's welcoming me with arms open?
No, it's not funny. It's literally not funny. Literally our friend.
Let me show you what's welcoming me.
Why is the battery going dead?
Probably because you haven't charged
Our
it.
friend who looks after our house and we're away, they send us pictures of Sarah's ever-growing parcel pile every day, and now she's taking the absolute Michael. Look at the state of this.
Look at the corner of the kitchen.
It's not funny really, is it?
To be fair, a lot of that's Isabel's ordered quite a bit, and Esme's ordered quite a bit.
So you're going to be seeing a fat haul when we get home.
That's what I'm looking forward to getting home for.
A really fat haul.
Inside my kitchen.
She's already got like days booked out going to flipping all the usuals.
Pretty much every single one of those days is already taken up. Like,
with fat stuff going
We're going to be really busy, to be fair. There's not going to be no lounging around in the house or anything like that.
No, it's gonna be good though. You guys will be loving it for sure.
Right.
But yeah, so we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for this rubbish video that we just watched.
This is probably
really
the worst video we've ever put out.
But look, we wanted to tell this story. It's a story to tell, right? What's the main motto of the story?
It was
carbon monoxide alarms, everybody.
Yeah.
Make sure you have them. Make sure they're working, because one day they could save your life.
It was either this or we don't upload today. So
we thought you might want to see our faces, you know.
Oh, we didn't think
and have
that.
a chat.
We didn't think that.
Anyway, guys, how are you doing? You good? Let us know what you're doing today. Comment down below. Let us all know what you're doing today. What's going on in the world where you are.
Right. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 PM. Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Well, that was bloody marvellous, wasn't it? Wasn't it fantastic? You may have noticed there was a lack of comments from myself in the second part of the video, or towards the end, or whatever it was, right? And the main reason for that, right, I'm not going to beat around the bush, it's because I skipped. Yes, I skipped. Yes, I know, I'm supposed to be here for the viewers, I'm supposed to be reacting and giving you content. Well, there you go. Chris and Sarah spouting shit is your content for today, right? There's not really much I could do about it or for it or with it. It was just atrocious to listen to. So yeah, basically the story is that they had a non-emergency situation involving an alarm which was broken or was going off, and it wasn't an emergency, but it was going off. Not too unlike the aforementioned smoke alarm that I mentioned before. Yeah. So they had to fix that. It was 6 in the morning. No matter what they say, 6 in the morning, Chris, is not the middle of the night, right? For most people, that's the time they get up to go to work. To see what's going on there. Anyway, yes, I hope you've loved this video. I hope I brought some entertainment to it. I know I haven't, sorry. I'm not even going to... I just don't know. Anyway, if you would like to give me a thumbs up, please do so. That would be much appreciated. Comment all of your thoughts about it down below, and additionally, subscribe to the channel if you are new. That's the one. Thank you all so much for your time. I know it's been a drag and a drain on your existence, but thank you for your time. Until next time, have an amazing day. Take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.